Well, good afternoon, and we're going to start our regularly scheduled policy meeting today, September 26, 2016, at the Olive Township Hall. And if we can just go around the table and make quick introductions, that'd be great.
Alan Meyer, Zealand, Turner Township.
John Penick, Loudoun County Road Commission.
David Vangenhoven at large.
Tom Bird, Ottawa County Road Commission.
Jerry Hunsberger, Park Township.
Nancy DeWar, City of Holland.
Steve Oltice, Executive Director of the MACC.
Pankaj Rajan here for the MACC.
Blaine Coates with that. Terry Hoffmeyer, Lake Town Township.
Terry Niepheis, Holland Township.
Russ Desai with the MACC Authority Board.
Bill Bauman, Ottawa County Commissioner.
Todd Walters, Olive Township.
Howard Bauman, Port Sheldon Township.
Kelly Gower, with the map.
Okay, thank you. And then enclosed in your packets is the minutes from our August 22nd meeting. If you've had a chance to review them, open it up for any changes, questions, or a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Terry and seconded by Jerry. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Public comments, since there isn't anyone here, we'll skip that and go straight to the transportation program. Steve, you want to talk about any updates to that?
Yes. So last month, Elisa gave a very extensive overview of a proposed U.S. Department of Transportation rule regarding metropolitan planning areas and the potential for changes if there is encroachment or overlapping of one MPO into another MPO's metropolitan planning area. And the proposed rule spoke about different avenues that MPOs could take in that regard. One option would be the two could merge. Another could be that they develop joint planning documents like the Unified Work Program and Transportation Plan and TIP and so forth. She did a nice job of kind of outlining our particular situation, and that up in Sheldon Dunes, there's Port Sheldon, there's a subdivision called Sheldon Dunes that is part of the Muskegon urbanized area. So it's a subdivision of about 25 homes. So we do have this situation where there's an overlap of another MPO's urbanized area in the MACC's planning area. So we'd be part of this. And we pointed out several other flaws as well, and the staff recommendation there was to rescind this rule. If not to rescind the rule, just to summarize, that flexibility would be given. There was overwhelming opposition to the proposed rules nationwide. However, it is our information that despite that overwhelming opposition, it's the Secretary's intent to go ahead and finalize the rule, and is likely to do so as soon as Congress leaves town to go home to their home districts for campaigning. So at this point, we of course are members of the American Metropolitan Planning Organization, American Association of Metropolitan Planning Organizations, AMPO. And they have a strategy involved where they hope to block the rule. However, just last Friday, the Secretary's office did extend the comment period, which was one of the things a lot of MPOs had requested, and that comment period is specifically asking for comment on how the rule would impact MPOs financially, and looking at a couple of other very specific details that they're asking for comment on. So they've extended another 30 days. My cynical self at this point says this is just to appease the number of folks who wanted an extension to occur, but it's still, their intent to finalize the rule, probably as it was proposed. So at this point, and the action I'm requesting from you today is, this is a very fluid situation at this point. We know that the comment period has been extended for another 30 days. I would certainly recommend to you that we submit comments to the docket around those very specific issues that the US DOT is asking for. One thing they're requesting is, do we have any ideas as to, if you don't like the merger or unified planning rules, what criteria would you use if there's an encroachment? Now, actually, our initial comments had some thoughts regarding that, so we'll submit those again. I think we should certainly do that. However, if the pundits are correct in that it's the intent of the Secretary to push through, and my understanding is that the intent behind this rule is at the very top of the organization. It is likely to happen, and at which point, we might be looking at some legislative action to do what it appears the Secretary is not going to do in terms of rescinding it. So the request before you today is to authorize staff to submit comments to the docket within this 30-day comment period, but then also authorize us to begin educating our U.S. representative and U.S. senators regarding this rule should or when it becomes final rule as to the impacts of the MACC and why we feel that it's deeply flawed and should not be implemented. So we spent a lot of time on that last month. That's the current situation. As I said, it's very fluid at this point, but I believe ample people who are working with people on the Hill have a pretty good read of where this is heading, ultimately, and I think we need to be able to act when the iron is hot, and therefore I'm just seeking your authorization to move forward, first with making those comments, and secondly, the ability to work with our U.S. representatives when the rule becomes final.
Would a motion be in order to authorize you to pursue that?
That would be greatly
I'll make
appreciated.
that motion.
Support.
Support, Terry. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
All right, the next item on the agenda is also an action item regarding a request that we received from the Allegan County Road Commission. They have been in dialogue with local units of government, as well as Hamilton Community Schools, in the vicinity of the M40, 48th Street intersection. Apparently, Hamilton Community Schools is looking to update their transportation facility, which provides an opportunity to make improvements to the M40, 48th Street intersection. Right now, that is a skewed intersection, or it has acute angles as part of it. And as the cover memo indicated, we've seen 48th Street become much more prominent as a regional corridor. Traffic volumes on that road have been going up. Hence, we made an investment in the resurfacing of 3 miles of that roadway, including this intersection, a couple years back, because we've noted that 48th Street is a regionally significant roadway, and the Road Commission is concerned about safety issues going forward. There are some dangerous or less than ideal movements going on at that intersection currently, and with Hamilton Community Schools redoing some of their transportation facility, we think there's an opportunity to do some realignment and so forth. So as the cover memo kind of indicates, we are interested in M40. We have been for a long time. It's a corridor of concern within the long-range transportation plan. Certainly we have put funding behind it, recognizing it's important as a regionally significant corridor. And the resolution, if you had a chance to look at it, that was included in your agenda packet, we are urging MDOT, and I noticed that Leanne Mikesell has joined us from MDOT, and Leanne is in charge of the Transportation Service Center that has jurisdiction over this particular location. So it would be an issue that that TSC would have to deal with in that regard. But the resolution urges the department to come up with a plan for improving, reconfiguring that intersection to improve the safety And then, of course, we're hopeful that thereafter some funding will become available. I had an opportunity to talk with the Allegan County Road Commission Board about it recently, and Larry Brown, the managing director there, made no illusions that this is the first step and was likely to be a fairly long process in terms of moving forward with both the planning and engineering for it, and then certainly the funding of the improvements as well. And as you take a look at 64th and M40 in the city of Holland, that's a testament to how long it can take to go through the planning process. There's some right-of-way acquisition necessary there, and we've been working on it for 4 or 5 years to align 64th with cable. So, John?
I drive that every day, and some of my neighbors do as well. It's a very busy place, and a dangerous place, as that little subdivision empties out there. It's a little complicated at the corners where it amounts to, and so I would move that the MACC supports this resolution.
I support that.
Motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Bless you.
We have the Big Jump grant application, and I think Elisa is going to walk us through that.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to let you all know about a grant application we're working on in the Transportation Department. We are partnering with the City of Holland and a local bicycle advocacy group called Pedal Holland, which is recently formed. Basically working together on this application. It's a lengthy one, due October 28th. But the good news is that you might recall the term Step It Up. We received a grant to provide funding for a team of 5 of us to attend a training this spring. And it's a very similar grant application, so we're excited, optimistic, and just wanted to let you know a little bit about that. It's a sizable grant, so it's up to $250,000 per year. The City of Holland would be the lead, organizing a team which is a very diverse team, including locally elected officials, City of Holland staff. The MACC would be part of that team, Pedal Holland. And they also look for community organizations, neighborhood representatives, local foundation, and there's a piece to that specifically looking at local fundraising. So that's why a local foundation is asked to be part of the team, and a business or business organization. So just a few highlights about the grant. In the memo that was sent out to each of you, we highlighted some of the things they're looking for, metrics specifically, and you all know that we've been talking performance measures for quite some time. So it fits in quite perfectly with what we've already done and what we've been looking at. Safety of bicycle use, so looking at collision data, which as you're familiar, we've been doing. Looking at quality of connections, and I think that's probably the greatest benefit of this grant would be that it would allow the City of Holland to complete connections and to fill in missing links. But we're excited about it. It does not require a local match, but strong applicants are those that have $50,000 in local and private sources. And as I mentioned, it's due the 28th. The finalists will be notified in January, so we're keeping our fingers crossed, working hard, and excited about this opportunity, hoping that this is successful. So does anyone have any questions?
Is there a commitment for the $50,000?
Is there a commitment? No. It's simply the funding ideally would be through private sources, but it's not required. It simply strengthens the application. So, yeah.
But at this time, we haven't approached anyone to fill that 50.
That's correct. And we're assisting with the application. We're not taking the lead on this one, but
Okay.
it's something that, as the committee is formed,
They'll work on it. Okay.
yeah. So we're at the early stages, but we're bringing this to you now because this is something we want you to be aware of. And MACC staff certainly is in the role of assisting with technical assistance, so just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Thank you, Lisa.
welcome.
Question, Pankaj?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Is this an analytical project, or will it result in specific actions such as education or planning?
It's a little of all of those things. The one thing it doesn't pay for is construction, but it could be funding a speaker to come in, and which is actually something that we had talked about doing as part of the walkability grant that we received. So it's very possible that we could do some of these efforts alongside some of the other efforts that we'd already planned on as part of our action plan. So training, speakers, education, so it could be a public campaign, it could be workshops, all of the above, but basically looking at different types of facilities that would best fit in the city of Holland, not just one specific type of facility. So, yeah.
Any other questions for Lisa?
It's great to get the bicycle message out there. I mean, that's what the CBB has been pursuing throughout Michigan, that people love that biking message. And with the way we have been working on bike trails everywhere and connecting, I just think it's a huge message about the quality of life in this community as we work to encourage businesses to relocate employees from other places here, and to tell the students that are growing up, you want to hang around. We're into biking, we're into the natural world, and it's part of a great message. So education and safety and coordinating everything is a huge part of that. That's going to take funding. So thank you.
Excited.
Okay. So, let me see, looking at my agenda here. A grant proposal, but there's MDOT comments.
So the only MDOT representative in the House today is Leanne. Is there anything you'd like to share with the group?
I just wanted to let you know that we do have staff that have met with the local agency about the intersection at 48, so we are in process of looking at that and gathering data. And the timing of this discussion is good because we are starting our annual call for projects process. So we'll be starting to look at all of our roadways and start suggesting segments and fixes and intersections for future funding. So we will make sure that we take a close look at this intersection when we're going through that process.
Just on another subject matter, what's the progress or progress report on 64th and M40 in the city of Holland?
Excuse me, that project, the design is near completion. What we're waiting for is the city of Holland is purchasing the right-of-way that's necessary for the project, and that's just a lengthy process. So we are, once the right-of-way is purchased, then we will proceed with finalizing the plans and getting the project left.
Okay.
We're very close.
That intersection is just a mess at 5 o'clock at night. And the sooner you can move forward on that, I think the better for everyone. I think
Our hope is to let the project in 2017, so, we'd like to build it next year.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, and then I think we, in terms of the watershed project, Kelly has some information for us in the grant application.
And there was a memo included in your packet that summarizes this grant application. This proposal was previously submitted to the EPA's Urban Water Small Grant Program. Last fall, we were notified this summer that we did not receive that funding, so we modified the project scope and the budget a bit, and then submitted it recently to the Community Foundation of the Holland-Zeeland area. So I just want to kind of highlight some of the changes. Not that you all remember the original details, but the idea of the grant was to develop first a green infrastructure suitability map for the Holland-Zeeland urbanized area, so that would include the entire urbanized area as defined by the census. And the original scope was to contract that with the Annis Water Resources Institute. We are no longer doing that, one, because the staff person that we were working with is no longer employed there. His funding for his position ended, so he's no longer there. And also to save on the cost, we have the ability to do that assessment in-house with existing staff. We have the GIS capabilities. We may need to acquire some data from the counties, but we certainly have that relationship established. So we will be doing that, the mapping portion in-house. And then the other parts of the project included working on outreach with stakeholders, with all of you, your boards, planning commissions, to review that map and get your feedback. So we will still do that. We had also included specific outreach to the Holland Heights neighborhood, so getting some community engagement there and working with residents to develop a green infrastructure plan for neighborhoods. So we will still do that. A new component that we added to this was to hire a private consultant to do some additional analysis, which I think will tremendously add value to this project. So we've been talking to Kaiser & Associates, which is based out of Kalamazoo, but they have done a lot of work with green infrastructure, with Western, with the city of Portage, some other universities, Kalamazoo Valley Community College, and really developing for those entities kind of prioritization of green infrastructure implementation. So what they will do is take the map that we develop and then start looking specifically at where, on what parcels could green infrastructure be implemented first. So kind of looking for that low-hanging fruit. Public-owned parcels will be kind of the first thing that they look at, assuming that those are easier to work with than private landowners, at least initially. And then they will even go as far as doing some cost analysis and some conceptual designs. So by the end of the project, not only will we have that suitability map, but we should have some projects that are almost ready to go, minus funding and maybe final engineered designs. So I think that will be tremendous value to kind of have some shovel-ready projects by the time we're done with this. So at this point, the application has been submitted. The Community Foundation process takes 4 to 6 weeks, so we anticipate knowing by the end of October, and would start this project in November, and then it would conclude within a year, and that's per the Community Foundation. Our original project we had slated for 16 months, so we'll kind of have to condense that a bit, but it's definitely still doable. We did receive, I guess, a recommitment of support from the City of Holland and the City of Zeeland, from both city managers, and an acknowledgement that it fits in with other initiatives with the Resilient Holland, and the City of Zeeland is doing some strategic planning and upgrading infrastructure, so it fits in with what the cities are doing. And then we also have the support of Project Clarity, the Outdoor Discovery Center, and the Hope Holland Sustainability Institute. So I think we're very optimistic that we will receive this funding. It's a little bit more of an ask than what they typically fund, but we may be able to offset that a little bit, that grant ask, if we can get more sponsors. We will be seeking sponsors to fund a training seminar that we plan to hold for planners, decision makers, but also the engineers, contractors that would be actually designing green infrastructure. So that would have considerable cost with it. So that $3,000 in match that is listed there with sponsors, that would cover about half the cost. So if we are really aggressive and get some good sponsors, hopefully we can cover all of that cost and reduce the grant amount. The rest of the match would come from MACC staff time. And then our partners, the Hope Holland Sustainability Institute, the Outdoor Discovery Center, they would be providing time to the project at no cost to the project, so in kind. So any questions about the application, the scope of work? Okay.
Do you need a motion then?
Yeah, what we are asking for is a motion to authorize someone, either the chair or our executive director, to enter into a grant agreement with the Community Foundation if the grant is funded. I am anticipating that they may require the chairperson to be the one to sign documents, but they may allow Steve to do that, so that's why we're kind of asking for both with this one. The Community Foundation does things a little bit differently than the grants that the watershed typically works with, so.
I'd make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Thank
Can you get a second?
Support.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
right.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
All right. Steve, I think you're up with administrative issues.
That's right. Included in your agenda packet is our budget amendment number 2. It's kind of a small one. That's a result of, we just did a more substantial one back in July, but it's year end and there were a couple of line items that we wanted to get cleared up before we close our fiscal year, which is at the end of this month. So it was included in your agenda packet. Again, fairly small changes or revisions being proposed here. The result in projected revenues with the amendment of $939,620 and expenses at $926,503. Be happy to answer any questions regarding that. Mostly it's moving existing funds around from one line item to another. So we'll need an action on that.
Yep. Can I get a motion, Nancy? Okay. Second. David? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Steve, you have your monthly financial report?
Yep. Monthly financial report through August, so 11/12 of our fiscal year was included in the packet. Be happy to answer any question about those. As I mentioned, there are a couple that where we're over budget, and the amendment you just approved will take care of those.
So Steve, general question, and really is a follow-up to what Howard brought up earlier. How are county dues computed? Township, basically, it's based on population.
Right, and county dues are as well.
Oh.
So they pay their proportion, so Allegan pays for the proportion, or the Allegan County residents, Ottawa pays for, at 11 cents per capita.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then the executive committee minutes from September 8 are in your package. If you have any questions on those, Steve or I can answer them. If not, okay, so we'll move on to, we have a study session reminder for October 24th at 11 a.m., which I believe is in Holland City Hall.
That's right.
And is that where we'll continue where we left off today?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
And it's kind of nice. We'll have a situation where we'll be convening at 11 o'clock at the second floor training center. So if you come in off the south side of the parking lot entrance, off the south side of City Hall, head up the stairs, and when you get to the top of the stairs, turn right. And that training center is on the south side of the building on the second floor. So that's kind of nice. We can have our discussion, our study session there while things get set up for our regular business meeting. Will be at its usual location in the council chambers.
Good. Well, we'll turn it over to Todd. Todd, thanks for hosting us, and if you can give us any updates or comments about Olive Township, we greatly appreciate it.
It's pretty quiet.
harvest season is starting, and we see, so corn getting chopped finally and stuff, and looks like the beans are about ready to start. So that goes for the agricultural part of it. This last year, they repaved Port Sheldon Street out here this spring, which was very much needed. I think that came off some of the federal match and stuff to get that taken care of. The county took care of New Holland Street, which is another major street in the township that really was in tough shape and stuff between us and Holland Township there. And so did that. We also did some regraveling programs this summer. And then, of course, our typical dust control. We still have about 40 miles of gravel, and it'll probably be that way for a lot of years.
Okay.
We are right now looking for a sexton for our cemeteries, and so one thing I was going to mention at some point to the other township leaders and stuff, I think we may have found somebody now, but to mention it to their sextons or so too, we may be interested in, a lot of times they're part-time positions, and guys may want more than just their own cemetery. So just something we're kind of throwing out there, but I think we have 2 residents that are interested again at this time. So first weekend of December, I believe our Historical Society has their Christmas home tour. So if you want something to do with your wife, there's usually about 6 homes throughout the countryside between us, Port Sheldon Township at times, and kind of throughout the whole area here where they have the homes decorated up and so on Christmas, and it's kind of a nice slow tour. So starts at our museum over on Polk Street, where our old town hall was, just east of 120th. So other than that, welcome, and that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Todd, and thanks for lunch. And then any comments from any other members? No? Okay. Steve, you wanted to...
Looks like Nancy's got something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just asked by our Neighborhood Improvement Committee to bring the issue of housing affordability to the table. A lot of communities are talking about it, and it is an issue in the community. So I'm wondering if you would be open to bringing in United Way and their Ottawa Housing Next report that they have put together to address this issue on a regional basis.
Is this at the next meeting or any time?
Whenever it would
Okay.
work.
I don't think that's okay. Depends on your agenda schedule.
Yeah, I mean, while we're going through the study sessions and we're trying hard to keep you
it may be not next
around,
time.
right, it may not be, but I think that's a conversation that's been ongoing for a while, and we certainly have had, issues, region-wide issues brought by others to this group in the past, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some companies have brought it to your attention too, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then Steve, I'm sorry.
This is the MACC Authority Board. Today we're actually meeting to update our vision and mission, and we're hoping in October, maybe early November, to actually have more of a visioning and just general study update. And I would be looking for input from this group or other leaders in the community. Thank you, Ross.
All right, and Steve, you want to talk about the West Michigan Prosperity Alliance?
Yes, very quickly at your place setting is an invitation to a meeting on October 3rd over at the Seidman Business Center in downtown Grand Rapids on the campus of Grand Valley State University. The MACC has been an active participant in the West Michigan Prosperity Alliance, which is coordinated by Grand Valley Metro Council. And Randy Thalen, when he was here, and I think a lot of the MACC area representation on this group has often said, hey, we get this $250,000 from the state. Let's direct as much of it as we can into various projects that we believe will help promote regional prosperity. And so the steering committee over the 13-county area has agreed with that philosophy and has usually put at least $200,000 of that grant into trying to jumpstart. We were the recipients, we being the MACC, as well as Met Council and Shoreline Regional, our counterpart in Muskegon, to look at a watershed funding study, and that's coming to its conclusion right now. We're seeking funding. Fortunately, we're not going to have to go through the voting process, and the voting process is what's happening on October 3rd. So if you want to come, learn about the various projects that are being proposed to receive funding, and if they're going to use a voting system again. So the participants will get a chance to vote on what projects they feel are worthy of funding. So if you're available and can join us, that'd be great.
Okay. All right, if there's no comments or questions on that, look for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay.
You never get any